Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's interview. Today, I'm talking to former NASCAR driver Boston Reid. Boston, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time here on the show.
Awesome. I guess we'll go ahead and jump into it. So, tell us a little bit about how you first got involved with racing.
Yeah, so my father was a crew chief on Indy cars, and grew up in Indiana. And when you become of age in Indiana, in your youth of like 7, 8 years old, go karts, quarter midgets, motorcycles were on par for us. And so I got my first dirt bike, got my first quarter midget from my dad, and we just started at the local tracks around the Midwest traveling and racing and just progressed up. But, that's one of the blessings of growing up in the Midwest is there are a variety of entry points to motorsports.
Hmm.
And that was, a blessing for us to be able to come up through the ranks and have so much experience, whether it was, down here in Charlotte where you got Bandoleros, you got late models, you got all sorts of legend cars. We had the same thing in Indiana.
Hmm.
And we got a vast experience of dirt, pavement, oval, road course racing growing up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So during 2000s, there was a shift because most people listening probably remember you from your stint with Hendrick Motorsports in the early 2000s. Um, But during this time, there were so many development drivers. But being a development driver, it was like you were expected to immediately have results. As soon as you strapped into the car, you were winning races. What was it like when you were having these awesome opportunities, but also just having this huge pressure that you don't have time to learn the car or learn the series? You have to perform right now.
Yeah, and that's a great, and thank you for understanding it because that was real. And it was for myself and many of the other guys that were in the development, era where you're jumping into a car that's sponsored by a, Fortune 100 company, a
Hmm.
Fortune 50 company, and they want results. They want to be up front. They want to be on the camera. And so when you jump into one of those seats, there is that added pressure. And it was fair or not fair at this what reality was during the development phases. And
Hmm.
it was tough because some of the programs were able to invest in their guys for a lot of seat time. Others, you were splitting it with guys. Others, you were just doing one out of every races, and you were expected to get in the car and go. And this is the elite. This is the best of the best in the stock car racing and in North America. And so when we were in the U.S. and when you were jumping in those seats, like I don't know that I ever did a race back to back.
Hmm.
And it was just challenging sometimes to get in these cars, to learn them and be competing against the best, because at that time in the early 2000s, you had the cup guys coming back down and doing both, which is who you wanted to race against,
Yeah.
to learn to be able to beat them and to run with them. But it was hard not being consistent. And
Hmm.
that's where I think some of the programs, like the Hendrick program and other programs, didn't have the success that we all envisioned because we didn't have the consistency. They had to put some of those cup guys in between our schedules
Yeah.
to, to appease the sponsor. And by doing that, it just made it challenging for all us developmental guys to get the seat time, the consistent seat time, the testing, and all the laps that it takes to compete at that level.
Yeah, that's something as I've gotten older, I look back on, and I think even as a younger fan, I would think, well, this guy's in a Hendrick car. Why is he not winning? But like you said, it's the whole you can't even establish a rhythm. You can't build. If you finish in the top 10, you can't build off of that and say, all right, next week we're going to a track like this because now you're not driving for 5 more weeks. So
And it's not fair to the driver, but also the crew chief
yeah.
and the team, because they're trying to go, okay, this guy likes a setup where he likes his race car loose. Okay,
Hmm.
now this week I got a guy that's in the car that likes it tight. When you're trying to build your chassis, you're trying to do your aero, you're trying to do your setups, and you just have the inconsistency between drivers. And I think that's okay when you have guys with lots of experience.
Yeah.
These cup teams that come and they'll have like we call it an all-star car.
Hmm.
At that time when I drove, it was the Busch Series, right? And they had an all-star car and they have different cup guys come down. Well, those guys could give a lot of input, feedback, how they wanted their car set up, and they could instantly know in the practice time, hey, I need this and that.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't able to give that right away. And I think that's what made some of our development programs a little bit of a challenge is just that inconsistency.
Mm-hmm. So ultimately, you decided to focus your efforts on real estate by co-founding Lead to Real Estate. Tell us a little bit about the move from racing to real estate.
Yeah, appreciate you asking. So that's what we've been doing here in the last 12 years since I stopped driving. I had friends in the garage, and a lot of the friends in the garage knew that our family had a real estate background in Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Hey, would you consider helping me with a few projects down here?" And I wasn't driving at the time, and I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll do a couple, help some of the guys, and then it like a light switch took off. It's like, man, a lot of these guys needs help because they want somebody they can trust. And when you're rubbing fenders with somebody at 200 mile an hour,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, going into corner, you have that level of trust. You have that common bond. And these guys were like, look, would you go help me? I need to find a house. And go help me do this. And then like a light switch, it's like, hey, man, we could make a business out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So our business, Lead to Real Estate Group, I got a business partner, Frank Bolter, and we started this company as a need that we saw in the garage area for guys wanting help with their house, shops, investments, and it just snowballed from there. And now we got a company, 12 years running here.
That's awesome. I love to see, because I've had a few guests on here where maybe their career in the Cup Series or Busch Series or whatever didn't take off, but they still they were like, well, I don't have to be behind the wheel to help people in the sport or to make an impact within the sport. And that was one thing that struck me when I was researching for this, as I was like, Boston might not be winning the Daytona 500, but there's Daytona 500s that you're helping get there, by either helping them with their homes or their shops or whatever. So I thought that was really cool that it's might be behind the scenes, but you're still playing a part in the story of
and their
the sport.
lives.
Yeah.
And to that point is, one of the things that's neat is, you're not behind the wheel, but you're still connected to the guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that, when they come home from the weekend and they're raising their family, you're an integral part of that. You're helping guide them into, the areas that they're having their race teams. You're helping them choose a race shop that they're going to build their team and go win races out of, or the house, and it's just, we're not behind the wheel. Of course, we miss that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But this is a really neat way for us to still be connected to the sport.
So I assume that a lot of people listening to this are probably like me, and they're either, currently searching the real estate market or whatever, or in the near future, they will be looking for, that home or whatever. What's
Mm-hmm.
one piece of advice that you would give to those who are in the market for a home?
Yeah, great question. Right now, in our Charlotte market, where we have a lot of the race teams and staff members of the sport, we have a low inventory of supply right now. So when you're in the market, you've got to be as strong as you can, having everything buttoned up. When you're ready to go see a house, you've got your pre-qualification letter already in your file, or proof of funds, however you're going to purchase. You need to have everything buttoned up, I's dotted, T's crossed. So when you go see it, you can jump on it and make a move to try to purchase it. And don't have a lot of time to make decisions, because if you wait, if you hesitate, it'll likely be gone by somebody else right now, because we're blessed and we have a lot of people coming to our area in Charlotte and the Lake Norman area, and that is a lot of demand, and we don't have enough supply right now. So it still can be bought. We still sell many homes every week, but you just got to be ready, and if you see something you like, move on it.
Give a second for everyone to take their notes, because I feel like a lot of people think that it's just you show up at a house and you say, I like this, and then you just have a briefcase full of money or something.
Yes. Hey, we all get our, impressions from TV, right? Mm-hmm. They can remodel a house in 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You can buy a house in 30 minutes. That's not the case, but there is a lot of planning that goes into it and strategic negotiations, especially in this market. And I think it's important to get teamed up. No different when you're driving, to get teamed up with a good crew chief, an owner. It's the same thing in real estate. You got to surround yourself with people that have the experience, the knowledge, that can help guide you to, your throughout your transaction.
Mm-hmm. So from racing to real estate, you've found a lot of success, but is there one or two moments that you look back specifically as a favorite achievement of yours?
Yeah, great question, Brandon. One really cool moment a few Memorial Days ago was when we had clients running in the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 same day. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of neat to see how we've spread out and helped so many people, because those are two big races for us on the calendar, going up from Indiana, the Indy 500, mm-hmm. being here now. It's been here 16 years. You understand the importance of the 600, and you just see that having competitors. There's only 33 in Indy, and it was only 40 at the time here. And so just saying, man, we've got guys in both elite top races in the series, crown jewel events, was a pretty neat moment for us. And then, the second was, I've got a sprint car hero growing up sprint car racing. Mm-hmm. And when one of your idols calls you and says, hey, I want you to help, with a real estate transaction, it's just like, oh, that's so two moments in my life that were, a lot of them are satisfying. Mm-hmm. Those were two that are some of my favorites.
So, well, thank you so much, Boston, for taking a few minutes to look back at your career, as well as take a little bit of time to help out those listening who might be a little stressed with all the stuff going on with real estate and all.
Yeah, be glad to. Thanks again for your time, and appreciate everyone keeping up with us, especially in our new career here.
So now, if people want to learn more about you, or if they're just like, I need some help, or, man, I want to find my house in Charlotte area or whatever, where can they find you online?
Yeah, appreciate you. So we've got a website, which is lead2group.com. It's LEAD, the number 2 group.com. They can find us there and reach us. Be glad to give them assistance.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Boston.
Have a good day.
All right. Thank you. Bye.